Will the meeting please come to order? Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975 has been provided by a notice published in the Home News Tribune on December 28, 2018, and posted in the main lobby of the municipal complex on January 5, 2019. Now I'd ask you to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, Lillian, roll call.
Ms. Ruggieri?
Present?
Mr. Pippola?
Here.
Mr. Corrett is not present. Councilmember Sindelsky?
Here.
Mr. Soltesz is not present. Mr. Easy?
Here.
Mr. Khan is not present. Mr. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Danielle?
Here.
Mr. Reader?
Here.
Mr. Zing?
Here.
Attorney Rubin?
Here.
Mr. Bignell?
Here.
Mr. Carly is not present.
Okay, acceptance of minutes, there are none. On to resolutions. We only have one resolution for tonight, P 14-2019, Federal Business, 140 Fieldcrest Avenue.
Madam Chair, I'd like to recommend we approve P 14-2019 federal business.
Second the motion?
Okay, Lillian?
Ms. Ruggieri?
Yes to approve?
Mr. Pippola?
Yes.
Councilmember Sindelsky?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Easy?
Yes.
Mr. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Danielle?
Abstain.
Mr. Reader?
Abstain.
Mr. Zing?
Abstain.
This resolution is approved.
Okay, old business, none. We are going to jump around on the agenda. We're going to call applicant P 22-2019, Samuel Fromkin, 125 Clearview Road, Block 390.C, Lot 13.B3. And I see that the applicant has already come forward.
Yes, we have. My name is Stephen Eisenstein of Lumdrasco. Old courtroom habits die hard. Of Lumdrasco and Positano of Roseland, the attorney for the applicant. I have President Mr. Samuel Fromkin, testified client, and I have Gary Zellick of Casey and Keller, the engineer on the project, to offer a brief testimony on what we believe to be a very simple site plan.
Okay.
I ask Mr. Fromkin to step forward and testify.
Good evening.
I'm going to swear you in, okay? Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I will.
Please state your name and spell it for
Sam-
the record.
Samuel Fromkin, Fromkin.
Mr. Fromkin, just to make sure that I know, the application indicates that you own this property as an individual, not through an entity. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You are the owner of 125 Clearview Road.
I am.
Would you please?
You need to speak into the microphone. That's why I asked you to sit down. So it's okay to sit down, and you can speak in the microphone.
Would you please tell the board what you do at the property?
125 Clearview Road, the one section is occupied by Fromkin Brothers Incorporated. They're interior contractors that that have approximately 7,000 or 8,000 square feet of office space and 30,000 square feet of warehouse space that they bring material in for their projects that they do. They do the estimating from there, bring material in, send it throughout New Jersey, New York, Connecticut.
And the application is for parking spaces, and not,
Right.
why do you need the parking spaces?
Well, since we bought the building approximately 25 years ago, The company has grown substantially, and we have 2 additional trades that we've taken on. We originally were painting contractors and flooring contractors. We now do ceramic tile and window treatments. We also do have a big terrazzo division. So we have more estimators, we have more salespeople, we have more warehouse people, and we need the parking. We never imagined that we would need that much parking. There was an extra piece of land on the side, which is actually a Woodbridge. There's only maybe 100 square feet of it in Edison, but that's where we're putting the additional parking. And we took it to Woodbridge. We presented it to Woodbridge after a considerable period of time. When they understood what we were doing, they approved it, and here we are.
I have no further questions, Mr. Fromkin.
So we're only talking a couple, I'm sorry, Chief. We're only talking about a couple spaces here, right?
No, there's 20-some-odd spaces. There was...
The 27 feet?
No, in Edison. Edison's
24
only-
Oh, in Edison, there's no spaces in Edison.
Part of 3 spaces are in Edison, but they're like angled pieces of 3 parking spaces.
Okay.
So it's a minor
Minor.
change.
Yeah, it's-
We will have the engineer testify as to
If you want.
the physical location.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Pippola.
2 comments, Samuel. One is,
Sam, please.
Sam, sorry.
My mother called me Samuel. Almost she was angry with me.
I'm probably older than your mother. Sam, 2 comments. I was out there a couple of times. One, I'd have to agree. I had a hard time finding a parking space once out there, and the other time was pretty
Okay.
full. Second, I'd like to commend you for how you maintain that property. I think the
Thank you.
shrubberies and the plantings and all that, at least the 2 occasions I was there, I think, you know.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you like our American flag, too? We have that big American flag in the front, which
Yes.
we're very
I didn't
proud of.
realize that. But those were 2 things that stuck out in my mind when I see that, and I think you're to be congratulated for that, and I hope you keep it up.
Yes, we will.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, if you want to bring your engineer.
Thank you very much.
Certainly solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth.
I do.
The truth. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
My name is Gary Zelk, and that's S-Z-E-L-C.
Mr. Zelk, would you please describe the qualifications for the board?
All right, I'm a graduate of NJIT, and I'm currently a professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey, working for the firm of Casey and Keller. I worked for a number of other firms in the past, including H. Thomas Carr, who did a lot of the work in early Raritan Center. I've been an assistant township engineer and assistant planner for Old Bridge Township, as well as an adjunct instructor at NJIT.
And have you testified before this board?
Probably before most of you were around here, yes. Many years ago, I testified before Edison. And since then, many dozens of municipalities throughout New Jersey.
And you're licensed in the state of New Jersey as an engineer
Correct, as an engineer and a planner.
and a planner.
And okay.
We'll accept you as an expert in your field.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zelk. Would you please describe the improvements that are to take place in the Township of Edison?
Okay, I do have to apologize. It seems my boss left for a meeting before me, and he took the tripod, so I don't have a tripod, but I will hold this up and explain all this.
Let me just interrupt. Are you giving planning testimony as well, or just engineering?
I think just engineering, that's the only thing that's really concerned about this, other than the fact that there is a change in the variance because the impervious cover in Edison does increase slightly.
Sir, here is one.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
I haven't used it, but
Okay. Do I need to talk in a microphone for?
Yeah, you take one of those off the table and just put it over there.
over there they go.
Why don't I just hold that for you? That way you can go through this.
We need it for the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So you have to,
Check with this woman in white, she's the expert. Sam, do whatever that woman tells you in white, she's the expert.
Perfect.
Okay, yes?
Now you just need a microphone.
Sam will get you a
Take a microphone.
Just take
One of those.
off the desk. Thank you.
No singing.
There goes my career.
Come on, let's do this.
Okay, I think if you're all aware, if you have copies of the plans in front of you and the cover sheet, you can see where this red line comes down. That's the dividing line between Edison on the left and Woodbridge Township to the right. I think everybody's quite familiar with the area. If you go to sheet 2, there's just an overall topographic survey, the existing conditions of the property at 125 Clearview.
Can we mark that as A1, please? The whole thing, the whole set.
You want each page individually marked? I just covered it. Thank you.
No, I don't think, no.
You don't need to mark each page individually. The whole set is one page. I mean, one exhibit.
All right, if you go to page 3, that's just an enlargement of the area that we're talking about, where the existing driveway comes out into Clearview Road. And again, the dividing line between Woodbridge and Edison is this line right here. Go to page 4, this shows the proposed improvements to the site. As you can see, most of the parking area is in Woodbridge. It has been approved through them. There's 1.5 parking spaces on the Edison side. One space was eliminated in Edison, so the increase in impervious coverage in this particular place is 900 square feet, which is rather minimal considering the couple 100,000 square feet of the property and the percentage that's covered. The maximum under your ordinance is 80%. We are 83.95 right now. This will increase to like 84.26% coverage. Again, we feel it's very minimal increase in the coverage, and that type of a small increase really would have no negative impact upon your master plan, your zoning ordinances, and as such. And basically, again, as Mr. Fromkin testified, Sam, this enhances his operation by enabling the people that work in the front part of this building to park right over here and just simply walk across instead of having to drive around through the entire site trying to find a place to park. The other improvements to this site, there are existing parking spaces here. They're simply going to be restriped to provide 4 handicap parking places. They will be van accessible, so there'll be 4 new handicap spots. The other work would be there's an existing sidewalk here that will be reconfigured as a handicap accessible ramp, and all the handicap operations will meet the requirements of the ADA and other agencies. Again, most of the work is in Woodbridge. There's new landscaping around here, some new lighting. There's existing lighting on the Edison side, so there's no proposed changes in the lighting. Again, our only real impact here is this small impervious area, which basically is the drive that connects the new parking area with the existing driveway out to Clearview. And I think that would be about it.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Pippola?
The question I have, you've already had, or Woodbridge has already approved your presentation and your application, as I understand, correct?
That is correct.
That whole area, once beyond the minimal amount that's in Edison, is quite thick in trees and, so you have presented them a plan of shrubbery and trees, and it's all approved by them?
That is correct. All the existing trees and shrubs in this area are going to remain. They won't be touched. There are some trees in this area that will come out, but there is a landscaping plan that does show a series of new trees and shrubs in this entire area, that this parking lot will be more or less shielded by the new shrubbery.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Bignell?
Yeah, Mr. Pipple, the tree replacement ordinance is very similar now in Woodbridge as it is to Edison, and they're in compliance with that. So that's in my report as well, I believe.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Peasy?
Gary, the Woodbridge plan, controlling the water, none of the water is going to be coming over to the Edison side?
What we do, we're also having, if you go to the next page, There will be a manhole and an inlet going to a stormwater discharge control structure. So basically, this has been designed to collect nearly all the water coming from this parking area. It will go into this discharge control structure, which controls the rate of flow out of it, so that the rate of flow will be no greater than it is today. And it's taken into consideration this entire area. This will go to an existing inlet that's out in Clearview Road right now. But again, because of this discharge control structure, there will be no increase in the rate of runoff than there is from today.
Okay, and our little transition piece that's going to have you go from the old parking lot to the new parking lot, the grading is toward Clearwater.
Yes, this small portion here will flow across the existing driveway as the existing flow does today, and will reach the same inlet.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? I don't
I
know if
have
you
no
want
further
to
questions.
review the professionals' reports, Mr. Bignell's report.
I have not received any report.
Oh,
Did you get Delaware Raritan?
I have received no reports.
I did receive Delaware Raritan today, went through it. I can go through that report.
Madam Chair, the only item on mine is that the applicant should request a waiver to the buffer, the pipeline buffering, and that should be a condition of approval, so we can figure that out when we do the reso compliance. And that should take care of it. So that takes care of it.
so Mr. Bignell is referring to item 12 in his report. Where is it? 12E.
So you can dig over there, you have to have you either have to have letters from the pipeline buffering company, the pipeline company's pipeline, or you have to ask this board for a waiver. So just say you want a waiver and we can move forward.
I hereby amend to request such a waiver.
Good.
Okay.
Just as protocol, you usually, the counsel for the applicant just quickly goes through this, and we're kind of expediting this because there's very little here. But what about this comment, Hank? You didn't mention it at 6:30, this used car store or car storage lot. What's the resolution of that? 12F.
Yeah, I've been told that the applicant doesn't rent spaces just to the dealers. They have to rent space in the building to be able to park their vehicles, and he works on his vehicles. Is that not correct?
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, so
So they're Katina's cars?
he rents space from inside that building, so he's allowed to use the parking.
Just to understand, which I've explained with Woodbridge also, there, what...
1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry. What Katina does they call it their prep center.
Right.
They have a lot of different manufacturers. They have a lot of them delivered to that building. The building stores, it's stored outside. There are 500 places that between inside and outside that cars are parked in. They come in, the lot is cleared. There's 250 cars a week that move in and out. So there's not cars, they're not just parked there. They're rotated. A car inside the building, they clean them, they prep them, they get them ready for the dealerships, and when the dealers need cars, they ship the cars out to the dealerships. And by the way, the look of the building, Katina is in the back of the building. They have no part of the front, but they pay for all of that shrubbery and all of that stuff because Ray is very interested in making sure that the building, where people come, because he does have clients that come to that building to look at different things, and he always wants the building to look good. So he encourages me to do that. So I wanted you to know that also.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yep, I just want to ask, Mr. Bignell, I do notice G in your report.
Is that new?
Well, it's just to make sure that, the fees are paid even after we get past the approval process, because sometimes there's more fees involved, and the applicant has to agree to that, and they agree to my report, they agree to that statement, so.
We have in fact paid escrow.
Okay,
Great.
very good.
But it's not just escrow, it's all fees, it's taxes and,
I've
you know.
two more than, that you put in your report.
Mhm.
So that should cover the finals and
Yeah, so we're in good shape.
Okay.
All right.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Yes, Mr. Pippola.
Hank, back to this waiver. Are we in sound ground to grant a waiver? We're saying, I mean, there's going to be some digging
Yeah,
there.
I don't believe there's any pipeline buffer, there's no pipelines there,
But how do-
so,
but
You're absolutely
I'm
sure.
I'm not trying to be difficult, but I don't want to start a precedent.
yeah, if,
Can you just get the letter that way, because the next.
well, let's do it this way, make it a condition that as long as there's no pipes within 75 feet, that you grant them the waiver. How's that?
But how does he know? He's not.
He'll have to contact his engineer, he'll have to contact the oil pipeline
Right,
companies,
get the
that's all.
letter. The reason why I don't want to waive it, because then somebody else is going to come up a week later or next month when they see you on TV and say, well, you gave them the waiver because he knows Ray Katina or something, you know. So if you could just comply with that, you got to get a letter, or he does.
Yeah, we'll undertake
Yeah,
to
it's
do
not a
that.
big- yeah.
As a condition to approval.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay with this.
And now just the DNR report.
Conditions of condition.
Mr. Zek, you have reviewed the DNR report?
I reviewed the report, and don't believe there's anything that would be a problem to comply with. There was a question about the lighting. Again, the only lighting fixtures proposed are actually on the Woodbridge side. It meets all the requirements for the Woodbridge lighting. There is existing lighting on the Edison side, so between the two of them, the lighting is adequate in this area and meets all the local requirements.
And is your testimony that the lighting on the Edison side will not change?
That is correct.
And that's fine, Madam Chair. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Bignell.
I have nothing further to present.
I think at this point then, I will open to the public. Is there anyone that wants to speak as to this application? If so, please come forward.
Seeing no one come forward, and make a motion to close public portion?
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to grant preliminary and final approval of this application, including the requested variance for impervious coverage, which will increase to the proposed 84.24%. I make this motion with the following conditions. First, adherence and acceptance of all recommendations and comments made by our consultants as outlined in Mr. Bignell's letter of September the 5th, 2019, and Mr. Carley's letter of September 16th, 2019. And finally, adding the proviso that no changes can be made to these conditions of approval without returning to this board to seek our approval of such requests.
Madam Chair, I'd like to second that motion.
Wait, don't we have to put something in the condition about the pipeline buffer? or-
The council said that this would be approval,
Right.
subject to complying with that, and they're going to get a letter.
Okay,
So,
okay,
That is
Very
correct.
thank you.
yes.
Ms. Ruggieri?
Yes to approve?
Mr. Pippola?
Yes to approve.
Councilmember Sindelsky?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Peasy?
Yes?
Mr. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Danielle?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Zing?
Yes.
This application is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you for the use of the tripod.
Okay, under new business, we have a presentation by Bignell Consulting for redevelopment plan for Ray Katina Automotive Properties.
Okay, Madam Chair, we have a report that was a draft plan dated August 28, 2019. It says draft until the council approves it, and then the draft will be, taken off that page. If you'll remember, back in March this year, the planning board created the in need of redevelopment plan, sent that back to council, and they accepted it and adopted that. Your hearing was, I think, March 18th, 2019, and then April 10th, 2019, they adopted the redevelopment recommendations for in need of redevelopment, and then asked this board to create a redevelopment plan for the areas that were in designation. As you'll remember, these properties are, there's two areas, sub-area A and sub-area B. It's a condemnation plan, so that it's the same owner will be the redeveloper. And those properties are located along Route 1, and that contains 3 lots. And then there's a sub-area B, which is the Main Street properties, and that was 13 lots that have been put together near Main Street. And none of that stuff has changed. Both areas, though, are not contiguous. They're attached by one little point through a right-of-way, which is not the owner's property. In our report, page 7 and page 8 show you the property in outline, what they look like. Pursuant to the redevelopment and housing law, the redevelopment plan shall include an outline for the planning, development, redevelopment, and rehabilitation of any project sufficient areas sufficient. It has to indicate the relationship, the population, the densities, the proposed land use areas, adequate provision for temporary and permanent relocation of people if you're moving people out, identification of the redevelopment area, any significant relationships to the redevelopment plan, and that would be like the master plan of other municipalities, the master plan of the county, state development plan, and redevelopment plan, all the dates for adoption of the resolution of findings for the area in need of redevelopment, and a plan for the provision through new construction or substantial rehabilitation of one portion of the property or the other. It has to be provided on the in this report. Those plan objectives included to stimulate economic investment in the redevelopment area, to revise the land use regulations controlling the redevelopment area to allow for taller buildings and upper level automobile storage, and buildings or within a parking structure, improve the efficient use of the land, improve the physical appearance of the area through appropriate site design and land use, to improve the arrangement of the parking and vehicle storage on site, to improve the overall traffic safety and circulation patterns, to preserve the anchor business, which is what we're trying to do here, because they're tremendous residents here in Edison. We want to keep them here. Preserve any kind of open space and redevelop existing facilities with a little more flexible zoning alternatives, which we've done in this plan, and to try and minimize unnecessary traffic on Route 1 and the co-location of the dealerships and inventory storage. So basically our plan has done that. If you go through up to page 14 of the plan, it lists the permitted uses. It's still automobile sales dealerships, new and used automobile sales, which they have, auto repair, service departments, combined service centers, storage of new and pre-owned vehicles, and storage of owner cars with an on-site service department. Accessory would be offices for executives, administrative, or professional purposes with those automobile dealerships, warehousing and storage of automobile repair parts and tires, storage of fleet vehicles, rental vehicles that are associated with automobile repair service, retail sales associated with automotive repair and sales, and automobile washing, detailing, cleaning, glass tinting, all the little ancillary things they do to new cars if you want to pay the VIG when you go buy a new car. The next page, on page 15, we basically give you the setbacks and the bulk standards for sub-area A and sub-area B. Really, the only major change is we have allowed them to go to 3-story and 58 feet. We've done that because it makes it a little more efficient with stacking the vehicles in the buildings. It also provides for the pollution and anti-pollution devices that are associated with these buildings that have to be in the ceilings, on the roofs, and all that good stuff. And so that was their need, and we had to find a way to accomplish that. And then off-street parking, things like there's a whole bunch of lists of where they can park, where they can't park, what the requirements are, where they can store vehicles. They have to separate, new sale vehicles from customers and employees and loaner cars, and that'll all be provided when they submit their new plans with this overlay zoning. Emergency access has to be provided. Lighting, we've pretty much stayed close to our ordinance, because I know in the past that's been a real stickler for the board. Basically what it says is they can't, illuminating levels on residential property lines shall not exceed 0.1 foot candles. Where the property abuts a non-residential use or right-of-way, illumination levels may not exceed 0.5 foot candles. they're allowed to go to 10 during their, like, business hours, but they have to turn it all down at night, when they're not, when the showroom is closed, and by 50%, so that's by 10 p.m., so that's a biggie. They have to show us loading, circulation, things like that on their site plan. Anything with their signage, we've allowed them to have 15% of facade. They can have two, each dealership may provide 2 stands per automobile brand franchise contained in that building. And we give all the directional stuff, the wayward signs, things like that, and also the freestanding signs. Landscaping, they still have to provide the landscaping, they have to do all that stuff, like a normal site plan. They also have to contribute to the tree fund if they can't put the trees on site, so we haven't changed any of that. So there's still a lot of, ordinance things that are left in in this overlay zone for them. Again, they have to be in conformance with the municipal objectives. They've done that. They have to be in conformance with redevelopment plans of the state and also with the adjacent municipalities and as well as the county. And we've pointed out that's all in compliance as well. And that's basically our plan. So you did the hard work at the redevelopment for the need of. Now the hard work's on them to come up with a site plan that meets their needs and also protects the township and makes the dealership look nice and more efficient and gets them into the next, say 10 to 15, 20 years down the road.
Okay. Yep, Mr. Danielle?
So, Mr. Bignell, I have no doubt, is this working? What kind of project this will be based on past history. The Katina organization is pretty good at doing these things. The one thing I want to avoid is what happened on another project with this foot candle. So if we can encourage them to get somebody there out at night with that meter like we had the other problem on Route 1. So we don't have, because this was a zoning board application many, many years ago.
Yeah.
On Main Street. And I know a lot of people came out. And I think people are pretty happy with the way it turned out. But just, because we want this project to comply with the law, but we want it to, they're a good taxpayer and resident, they're a corporation. So sort of to help them, let's make sure we get this right in terms of the foot candles, because I can guarantee you some people will be out there with those meters at 12 o'clock at night like the last time.
With prior redevelopment plans, the foot candles were a lot higher than what they are here.
No, I understand.
And we've protected the property line, so we're at .1. We do let them light the place up while they're in business, the early evening hours, but by 10 o'clock, they have to turn the lights down. And those, by the way, can all be spelled out again as conditions of approval when their site plans come down the pike.
So tonight's just to approve, we already approved the redevelopment.
Yeah, what you're doing tonight is approving their overlay zoning. This is going to be their new zone plan for those properties. So, and you still have all the control. The other point I'll make to you, too, is they can't change any of the uses on the site that are as part of this plan. You can't grant them a D variance, and the zoning board can't grant them a D variance. They have to go back to council if they want to change any uses on site. You will be allowed to grant them any kind of subdivision, site plan, or a C variance. You'll have that discretion to give them some help if they need it. But if they want to change any kind of uses, that's not going to be part of this plan. You won't have the power to do that. And neither will the zoning board. It has to go back to council.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Peasy?
Yes, as a board member, I want to thank Mr. Bignell and the Bignell Planning Consultants for the complete report that you did. I was very pleased to see the content and what you're trying to do to try and keep a good neighbor.
And I want to point out to Mr. Pizzi that I will correct that typo on page 60.
Thank you.
Mr. Reader, did you have a question?
Just a quick question. How do you determine the height? What's the current, let's start with that. What's the current height limit in
I think the
that?
maximum height in the town was 50 feet.
Oh.
And we looked at the neighborhood, you've got high tension wires there, you got a lot of things so that extra 8 feet really ain't gonna affect anything. And if you go and look at the properties across the street, that's like almost up a hill across the crosses. So they're gonna be kind of in line with everything right there. So we didn't see it as a major issue. all right? And that's going to help them, you know, organize things below and be a little more efficient.
I'm sure.
Yes, Mr. Pippola?
Hank, again, I would just reinforce what Mark had indicated. What is the foot candles out there now? Do you know offhand?
I don't have a site plan for them to even know. But once they accept this, they're going to have to deal with the new lighting. They're not going to be able to keep the old
Well,
lighting.
I see, and I think in your summary there, you had indicated that there's 10 foot candles for the evening display of vehicles. That seems to me that's going to probably be a major issue. Is 10 what it currently exists on the Route 1 side of it?
Well, you granted that to BMW. You also granted it to we had negotiated with CarMax because they were at 20-foot candles, and we had to squeeze them to get them back down to where they should have been. So we did that. One thing that's in this redevelopment plan isn't in the others is that by 10 o'clock they got to turn it down. So at 10 o'clock those lights are going down to, you know, a normal regular relationship, and they can't exceed, even with the 10-foot candles, they can't exceed 0.1 over their property line at any time, even at 8 o'clock at night if it's dark with this plan.
But the only houses are in front of it. If you walk out the front door of the service, there's no
Yeah.
way, right? So it's got to cross over the street.
It has to, they have to shield it, they have to do all that stuff, so they got to, all right?
So the 10-foot candles is in the display area, but immediately at the property line, it's got to be
0.1.
1/10 foot candle.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I would also ask you on page 12, you outlined very carefully, and I totally agree that we're not allowing body repair and replacement, and we single out Vinnie's Auto Body and Raritan Valley Bus Company. Now, we recommend this to the council, and the council accepts it.
Yes.
What happens to those two facilities? Are
They're governed by the existing zoning.
So they can stay,
Yeah. Yeah, but they,
unless it gets worked out by the owner of the property and whatever.
yes, and in the discussions with Mr. Katina, he's looking to purchase those properties somewhere down the road and add to the whole facility. So,
Okay, so he either purchases those or he works around them.
yes, sir.
Okay, anyone else? Questions?
Yeah,
Mr. Councilman?
Hank, will any more buffering be required between those properties now?
Just a normal buffering. There's not a lot of residential in there, and the stuff along the highway is all right of way and stuff. It's all that high tension wires and things like that. So that's not really needed. The buffering along the ramp going into the Main Street, that's all state property, so they can't even touch that. So that stuff will all be maintained, and you know, maybe we can get them to clean up some of the grub underneath it, but that's not even on their property.
So does that explain, I always wonder when you get off Route 1, it was very uncatina-like.
Yeah, it's not his
You got a
property.
metal fence there and you got weeds and stuff.
He
I
can't touch it. It's not his property.
But he knows who to call.
Well, but that's the stuff you can ask him at site plan.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know.
it just didn't seem like a normal,
Yeah, I'm sure that they like the idea of it looking nice too. That's what it's all about, you know, so.
Is there going to be any new items that are visible from the rear, from Route 1, you know, when you're driving on Route 1 to see the cars, will they be visible at all from Route 1? With the new plan?
It all depends on what buildings they put up or any kind of new structures that way, you know, if they build anything in that sense, but,
We'll have to look.
you have to see that with the site plan. It's hard to give you that answer with, just the zoning, you know, it's like saying, oh, the zoning is this, but what's the building gonna look like? I can't tell you
We'll
yet.
have to see
Yes, sir.
what they do. with that
Yes, sir.
building. Okay, thank you.
Now, maybe Mr. Rubin can tell us, I'm not sure this requires public hearing at this point. I don't, that's usually at the council level?
Yes, this
Okay.
is adopted by ordinance. The public hearing's held at the council level. This is just a review, primarily to determine consistency with the master plan. And then a recommendation whether the council should adopt it as is, adopt it with modifications, or not adopt it at all.
so we need to make a motion.
Send it back
To
to council.
recommend that the council adopt this as draft, if that's the preference of the board.
Now, when I read into the record, the presentation, I didn't read the council's resolution. Does that matter, the resolution R for?
No, I don't think it matters at all.
when I send it back, I will do that.
And it's also in the report,
Yes.
that page.
And it'll be
Yes, it is.
referenced in the resolution.
It's also page 1.
And Hank, the fact that this says draft report August 28th, and we make a recommendation,
Well, it stays a draft report until council accepts it, and then the new document will just say the date they approved it with that date, and it becomes a zoning.
okay.
All right? Because they may want to make a change here and there too, who knows, after the public hearing.
So I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve Mr. Bignell's recommendation for the overlay zone as indicated in the testimony, and that it be forwarded to council with our recommendation to approve.
Second that motion,
Can I just
Madam Chair.
clarify something? The recommendation is in the report, not just the discussion. We're going to do both. Just to quibble with the language. So it's the discussion tonight and the report.
Yeah, I just want to make one clarification also. The motion referred to an overlay. This is a superseding redevelopment plan, not an overlay redevelopment plan. So this will supersede all existing zoning unless, as specified, it's not directly addressed in the plan.
Okay.
Well said.
So the motion is amended as per our counsel, and my question that it's just not the discussion, it's the report dated August 28th, 2019 in draft.
And
Prepared by
then
Mr.
we found it to be consistent with the township's master plan.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Lillian?
Mr. Ruggieri?
Yes?
Mr. Pippola?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandelsky?
Abstain to vote at council?
Mr. Peasy?
Yes.
Mr. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Danielle?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Zane?
Yes.
It's approved to go back to council.
Okay, moving along. Final, there's none. Miscellaneous. We have Resolution R 414-08, 2019, recommendation and comments for 21 Cortlandt Street condominiums, Block 203, Lot 17.
This is a resolution asking the board to conduct a blight study of the identified properties. They would need to retain a planner to conduct that blight study on behalf of the board and make a presentation at a public hearing, as we've done recently with several other properties.
Okay.
Madam
Everyone
Chair,
understand?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a recommendation that we retain Bignell Consultants to do a study on the blight for this resolution request. And if you could have it for us for the next meeting.
I don't know that that's going to be possible for the next meeting on the redevelopment study.
No, just the other one.
The blight
rehabilitation?
redevelopment study, I think he's going to need more time on that. The rehabilitation, which is a separate resolution,
Yeah.
which we will deal with next,
Okay.
that I think that can probably be done by the next meeting, but this, I don't expect.
Why don't we revise Mr. Peasy's motion and delete the
To
reference?
eliminate the
Yes.
Time.
time frame.
Timeframe. Okay.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, Lillian?
Who's second?
Mark Danielle.
Is he still a board member?
Ms. Ruggieri?
Yes?
You all in favor?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. The next one, Resolution R 408-08, 2019, recommendations and comments for 21 Cortlandt Street condominiums. And again, this is Block 203, Lot 17.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a
Oh,
motion.
just let me, if I may first.
Yes.
This is a resolution to have the same properties declared an area in need of rehabilitation. The council has incorporated a draft resolution designating the rehabilitation area for this site, which would require the town, based upon Mr. Bicknell's recommendation to find that the area is vacant, underutilized, and deteriorating, and a majority of the water and sewer infrastructure in the study area is at least 50 years old and is in need of repair or substantial maintenance. So the board needs to either, sitting here tonight, find that those conditions exist based upon their local knowledge, et cetera, or they can retain a planner to go out and verify that those conditions exist and come back and make the recommendation to the board that they then can go back to the council and say, yes, these conditions exist, and we recommend the designation of the rehabilitation area. Just so you know, if you put this off and ask Mr. Bicknell, I'm going to ask that he get in touch with me so I can have a resolution ready
Next, right.
for next month, rather than taking another
No,
30
that
days
was the
beyond that.
intent, right. So procedurally, you'll prepare a resolution that we can adopt at the next meeting, assuming, and we have no doubt.
Well, if Mr.
that his-
Bicknell gets me his report in advance,
Right.
I'll be able to prepare a resolution from the content of that report
Right.
in time for next month's
Yes,
meeting.
that was the intent. So my resolution is modified by council's further discussion. And are we adopting this, next
Alls
meeting?
we're doing tonight is
Retain.
hiring Mr. Bicknell
Right,
to
hire.
look at this. Next month, again, alls we're doing is recommending the adoption of this resolution
Right.
designating this as an area needed. It doesn't require the same kind of public hearing
Right.
under the local redevelopment housing law that a redevelopment area does.
Okay.
So I will tell you that in my experience, those hearings are all often conducted. And I've been involved in with property owners who have opposed rehabilitation designation.
Right, so we could face,
So I don't think it would hurt to hold a public hearing
Right.
next month on this, swear him in,
right,
and do this formally and see if anybody objects. But I don't believe the law requires it.
okay. We'll deal with that at the next
Right.
meeting. All right, so that's my resolution as modified by our council's further edification of the Exhibit B and the criteria listed therein, that the area is vacant, underutilized, deteriorating, and two, majority of the water and sewer infrastructure in the study area is at least 50 years old and is in need of repair or substantial maintenance. And this proposed program of rehabilitation will include new construction to prevent further stagnation and deterioration of the property and to promote the overall development of the community. So,
The one thing I would ask is that Mr. Bicknell's report cite the actual block and lot numbers, which is not in the draft rehabilitation resolution that is in Exhibit B to this resolution that's now before us.
Right, it's only-
It just talks about property bounded by Patrick Street, Route 287.
Right.
I think it should be more specific than that, and I think his report should recommend that the resolution be amended to be more specific as to the exact properties that they're referring to.
That's no problem. That's no problem. Makes sense.
Okay, is this one we should do all in favor?
Again, you can do all in favor to retain Mr.
Yeah,
Bicknell.
Madam Chair, I'd like to second Mr. Daniel's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Comments from the public?
Seeing no one come forward to make a motion to close public portion?
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay, and I think I need to do a motion to adjourn the meeting, or, yes? Motion to adjourn this meeting?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Wow. I don't know what to do with myself. The team formerly known as the Jets?